going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City video. Today we're going to be doing another daily Manchester City transfer update, which we are rolling throughout the January transfer window for you guys to enjoy. So if you haven't already, do subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date here on YouTube with all the latest Manchester City transfer news every single day. It is free to subscribe. Also, don't forget social media links there in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorship for any videos or any general business inquiries. Do leave a thumbs up. 300 likes is the aim, and also don't forget to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So we're going to crack on with this video. We've got two stories to speak about, both pretty big stories, and they both come in the out. So we're going to start off first by speaking about the more realistic out transfer, and that's speaking about Kalvin Phillips. Now, Rob Dawson at ESPN's given the very latest on him and says that Kalvin, he's a popular player at Manchester City, he's a popular player amongst the players as well, and he's hoping that he's been putting in graft. Apparently he's hoping that his hard work and his improved relations around the Manchester City squad and the coaches are going to work in his favour, and they're going to secure him a favourable loan away from Manchester City by the end of the month. It's thought, coming in from Kalvin Phillips' camp, that they want Manchester City to lower their demands for him to send him out on loan. At the moment, the rumours that we're hearing is Manchester City are wanting north of £5 million in a loan fee to be paid for now until the end of the season. It is thought that there might be a little bit of room of negotiations with that loan fee. I've heard that Manchester City are happy to accept around £3 to £3.5 million as a loan fee, as long as there is an obligation to buy. Manchester City are looking for around £40 million. If there isn't an obligation to buy and there is an option, expect Manchester City to be asking for north of £5 million. So Kalvin's hoping that that price may come down a little bit. City aren't going to budge on that obligation to buy, because otherwise Manchester City end up making a loss on Kalvin Phillips, and they're not going to want to do that. It remains to be seen about what Manchester City want in terms of covering Kalvin Phillips' wage between now and the end of the season. I would have thought that Manchester City would want most, if not all, of his wage covering as well. We'll have to wait and see. Loan transfers can sometimes be very straightforward, in particular when you're dealing with a young player and you just want them to go out on loan with the promise of some first-team football so they can improve and develop. But when it comes to first-team players and sending them out on loan, it can be quite complicated. Manchester City know this, Kalvin Phillips knows this, and the buying clubs will know this as well, which is why Kalvin Phillips is hoping to secure it by the end of the window, and I'm putting a lot of emphasis there on the end of the window, because clubs will hope that teams that want players to leave on loan will be desperate, or more desperate at the end of the window than what they are now, that there may be more room for negotiation, such as Manchester City not asking for an obligation to buy but putting it down to an option to buy. I'm pretty confident that Kalvin Phillips will leave Manchester City regardless of whether it's an option or an obligation to buy. Clubs will be patient and they will wait towards the end of the window to get in an option to buy. And I think what could work in Manchester City's favour is if we end up getting more interest in Kalvin Phillips. We know that Newcastle are showing the most interest in him. They are prepared to walk away. There are other Premier League teams interested as well. So if Manchester City by the end of the window say we're not looking for an obligation to buy, we're happy to accept an option to buy, but you do have to pay north of £5 million in a loan fee, then you might find 2 or 3 clubs are happy to do that. And if it ends up getting down to that stage, I would hope that Manchester City would then sit down and speak with these clubs and say, we will make you a priority if you make it an obligation to buy rather than an option to buy. Get these teams to the table, get them talking rather than it being just interest. Because at the moment, I'll tell you exactly how this is going to go the longer this goes into the winter window. Manchester City have promised Kalvin Phillips that he will be allowed to leave, which means Manchester City have to let Kalvin Phillips leave, which means the ball goes into the other team's courts, and the longer this goes on, the more likely it will be that it will be an option to buy, not an obligation to buy. Teams want to be cheap. They don't want the guarantee of money departing away from their football club. They don't want to spend £40 million on Kalvin Phillips because they know that he's injury prone. They don't know how good he's going to be. It's a risk on their end, but he is a Manchester City player, and teams will just want Kalvin Phillips to have him from now until the end of the season and see how he gets on. More than likely, because it involves clubs shelling out £40 million. I know Fulham and Crystal Palace, they don't spend £40 million on players, so to send him out on loan there with an option to buy, it's just not going to happen. Newcastle, if he ends up hitting the ground running and does well with them and keeps himself injury free, they could well take up that option to buy. They do have the money, but they're struggling a little bit to meet ends needs when it comes to financial fair play. So this is something Manchester City have to manage very carefully, and I think it would be worthwhile if it was up to me and I was in charge at Manchester City. I think I'd just pull Kalvin Phillips into the office, sit down with him, explain the situation and say, we want guaranteed money for you, and if it gets to the end of the window and we aren't happy with the transfer, you're our player, we're sorry, you're going to have to stay with Manchester City until the end of the season, and he's going to have to accept that, because what we don't want is Manchester City to have their pants pulled down, figuratively speaking, here when it comes to this transfer. City holding firm, they need to hold firm right until the end of the window. I still think Kalvin Phillips will leave Manchester City on loan. What their deal is going to involve, we'll have to wait and see. I'm hoping City will hold firm. If they do, they could get themselves a very good loan deal. We could end up keeping Kalvin Phillips. I think all options, in my opinion, have to be open. That's just how it is when you're dealing with a loan transfer. Now, moving on to the final transfer of this video, takes us on to an update on Erling Haaland, and I've been speaking about this very cheap €100 million release clause that's apparently active in his contract for any team outside of England. Well, former Manchester City scout Brian King, who's got close relations with Erling Haaland's father, Alfie Haaland, and also helped Manchester City scout Erling Haaland as well, has said that he believes that Erling Haaland will not leave Manchester City this summer. So I don't know if that is suggesting to me that there isn't that release clause, because I'll tell you right now, Real Madrid will be all over a €100 million move for Erling Haaland, in particular if no move ends up happening for Kylian Mbappe. Who knows? A lot does depend on that. But very interesting what Brian King says. He says he reckons Erling Haaland stays at Manchester City because he's guaranteed success whilst Pep Guardiola is here. Now, whilst nothing is guaranteed in football, you're near enough, you're closest you're going to get to guaranteed success is being at Manchester City and working under Pep Guardiola. Erling Haaland's made no secret. He wants to be a future Ballon d'Or winner. And so that's what he wants to try and achieve. He can achieve it at Manchester City. All we know is they tend to favour teams in Spain for some reason. They tend to favour Real Madrid, and Erling Haaland will know that. That's why there is a release clause in his contract. I just don't think it's as low as €100 million. If there's to say 150 to €200 million, I'd probably believe that more than €100 million. So it's interesting to see the impact that Pep Guardiola has on this transfer involving Erling Haaland. Manchester City want at least 3 seasons out of Haaland. He won't leave City this summer. I'm very confident in saying that. Get to June 2025, Pep Guardiola's contract's up. That'll be a massive blow to City. Lose Pep and Haaland in the same summer window. That is absolutely massive. City won't sort out Pep's future until probably around November, December time of this year. That's when we tend to sort it out, when there's around 6 to 8 months left on his contract. I wouldn't rule out Pep Guardiola signing a new contract. He's very settled, very happy at Manchester City, and very successful as well. Long may it continue. We, of course, have the 115 charges to think about. It's a very complicated transfer. If I get any updates, of course, I will keep you guys up to date with it. So there we go. That has been today's transfer update. If you do want to stay up to date every single day with all the latest Manchester City transfer news here on YouTube, make sure you've subscribed to my channel. Press that red button, press the bell, and put your push notifications on. It is free to subscribe. Now less than 900 subs away from my goal of 34,000 subscribers. Also, don't forget social media links. They're in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Also, don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Do leave a thumbs up. 300 likes is the aim, and I'll see you all again religiously tomorrow for the next daily Manchester City transfer update. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.